Welcome to All Lists. If you enjoy our videos, please make sure to subscribe and don't miss any new videos by clicking the bell button. Have you thought of visiting Afghanistan but had fears and no knowledge of the current situation and landmarks there? Today we're counting down the top places to visit in Afghanistan. But before moving on to that, we think it's useful to know a few things about visiting it. We're going to start with the weather. Average temperatures in Afghanistan vary drastically. If you're looking for the very warmest time to visit Afghanistan, the hottest months are July, August, and then June. The warmest time of the year is generally late July, where highs are regularly around 98.3 degrees Fahrenheit, 36.8 degrees Celsius. Now, we have to talk about the money. The local currency is the Afghani, AFN. The economy operates on a cash-only basis. Credit cards are not widely accepted. US dollars are accepted but should be recent issue and in good condition. Automated banking machines are beginning to appear in Kabul, but they are unreliable. Next, we are on to the peak seasons. The busiest month for tourism in Afghanistan is April, followed by May and October. Prices for hotels and flights will be most expensive during these months, though you can save if you purchase well in advance. Tourists are unlikely to visit Afghanistan in January. Those willing to visit at these times will likely find it the least expensive month. Next, we'll discuss your safety if you decide to visit. Avoid all travel to Afghanistan due to the unstable security situation, ongoing insurgency, terrorist attacks, the risk of kidnapping and a high crime rate. If you choose to travel to Afghanistan despite this warning, you are taking a serious risk. The decision to travel is your choice and you are responsible for your personal safety abroad. There is an extreme risk to your personal safety and security. You should not travel to this country, territory or region. If you are already in the country, you should consider leaving if it is safe to do so. Afghanistan is not a safe environment for personal travel. The security situation remains extremely volatile and unpredictable. Attempting any form of travel, including adventure or recreational, in this very hazardous security environment would place you and others at grave risk of injury, death or abduction. Insurgents continue to attempt to destabilize the current political system through acts of terrorism and kidnapping. Foreigners whose country of origin has contributed to the International Security Assistance Force are preferred targets for terrorist attacks and kidnapping. Criminals, taking advantage of the unstable security situation, are also committing violent attacks and kidnapping travelers. Embassies' ability to provide consular and other support throughout the country is very limited. The threat of terrorist and criminal violence is extremely high and continuous. Kidnapping for ransom has become a very lucrative market in Afghanistan. There is an extreme risk of kidnapping of foreign nationals throughout Afghanistan. Demonstrations, including anti-Western demonstrations and civil unrest, sometimes occur throughout Afghanistan. Some demonstrations have become violent and have been targeted by terrorist attacks, causing deaths and injuries. Political and socio-economic issues, population displacement, returning refugees and upcoming parliamentary elections may cause further unrest. Numerous Westerners, including tourists, journalists and non-government organization workers, have been kidnapped and, in some cases, killed. Journalists may be lured to Afghanistan with offers of interviews, when the real purpose is to kidnap them. Several organizations, including terrorist groups and criminal gangs, are behind these kidnappings. Millions of landmines throughout the countryside pose a threat. No area can be considered safe. Driving conditions are poor. Traffic is chaotic because traffic laws are not enforced. Overland travel outside of Kabul is extremely dangerous and should be restricted to those who have armed security. Terrorist and criminal groups may set up fake checkpoints with the intention of committing attacks. Plan any road travel very carefully, and always travel in groups. Military and police forces are limited in rural areas. Banditry by armed groups is common. Women should travel in groups and avoid traveling alone at night. Women have been detained when reporting sexual assault. Basic infrastructure services such as electricity and telephones are minimal, even in urban areas. Food and water shortages are common. Travelers should not travel at night. Areas outside Kabul may not have strong police coverage. Following this, we have to reveal the medical situation in Afghanistan. Be sure that your routine vaccines, as per your territory, are up to date regardless of your travel destination. Some of these vaccines include measles, mumps, rubella, MMR, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, varicella, chickenpox, influenza and others. Consult a healthcare provider or visit a travel health clinic preferably 6 weeks before you travel. In Afghanistan you may be at risk for these vaccine-preventable diseases while traveling: hepatitis A, hepatitis B, influenza, measles, polio, rabies, typhoid, yellow fever, cholera, traveler's diarrhea, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, leishmaniasis, cutaneous and mucosal and malaria. Travelers are cautioned to avoid contact with animals, including dogs, monkeys, snakes, rodents, and bats. Crowded conditions can increase your risk of certain illnesses. Remember to wash your hands often and practice proper cough and sneeze etiquette to avoid colds, the flu and other illnesses. Health services and medical facilities are substandard. Facilities are not appropriately sanitized. Patients requiring medical treatment for incisions or wounds run a significant risk of infection. Private clinics, which offer a higher standard of service, are available in Kabul. Immediate cash payment is required for any medical service. Medical evacuation is rarely possible due to a lack of companies willing to service Afghanistan. Evacuation on military flights is impossible. Prescription medicine is not available. Bring a sufficient supply of medicine for the duration of your stay. Next, we'll discuss the legal and cultural side of your trip. You must abide by local laws. Displaying physical affection between men and women in public is considered offensive. Extramarital sexual relations are also illegal. Convicted offenders will be severely punished. Photographing government buildings, military installations and palaces is prohibited. Ask permission from locals before taking their photograph. The laws of Afghanistan prohibit sexual acts between individuals of the same sex. LGBT travelers should carefully consider the risks of traveling to Afghanistan. Islamic practices and beliefs are closely adhered to in the country's customs, laws and regulations. Dress conservatively, behave discreetly, and respect religious and social traditions to avoid offending local sensitivities. During the lunar month of Ramadan, the 9th month of the Muslim calendar, refrain from drinking, eating, and smoking in public between sunrise and sunset. And the last thing to consider is natural disasters and the climate. Afghanistan is in an active seismic zone. An earthquake may cause landslides in affected areas. Strong aftershocks are possible up to 1 week after the initial quake. Avalanches, floods and landslides occur, which could result in a high number of casualties and serious property damage. In February 2017, Heavy snows and avalanches caused over 100 deaths and led to food shortages. If you still are determined to visit Afghanistan despite the already mentioned travel tips and warnings, then you should visit the following places. Number 1. National Museum of Afghanistan. Afghanistan's art heritage includes pre-Islamic and Islamic fine art works. There are a number of art galleries and museums in Kabul that expats and foreigners living in Kabul can enjoy. The National Museum of Afghanistan was opened in 1919 at the Bagai Bala Palace. The collection has grown impressively and now spans 50 millennia. Art and artifacts from the prehistoric, Buddhist and Islamic eras can all be found here. Excavations spearheaded from 1922 by the Delegation Archéologique Française in Afghanistan dramatically boosted the museum's collection. The National Museum of Afghanistan, also known as the Kabul Museum, is a two-story building located 9 kilometers southwest of the center of Kabul in Afghanistan. The Kabul Museum used to be one of the greatest museums in the world. Although the civil war inflicted its damage on the establishment, the museum is starting to revive itself. One of the museum's highlights is the Nuristani Gallery, which features large wooden deity and ancestor figures as well as impressions of warriors and lovers. Number 2. National Art Gallery. The National Art Gallery, situated in an old manor, houses an interesting collection of 20th century paintings by artists including Muhammad Maimongi and Yusuf Vasafi. On the same grounds is the private Sultani Museum, set up in 2004 by Ahmad Shah Sultani, a trader in gold and antiques. A large part of Sultani's collection of antiquities from Afghanistan was amassed when he was exiled in London during the Civil War. Although it is completely possible to turn up to the museum and buy a ticket from the caretaker, the museum is in somewhat of a limbo in that not all of the collection has been catalogued, the labeling on individual pieces is patchwork, and the museum has to be unlocked for individual visitors, which can be time-consuming. However, highlights include the collection of wooden stamps and coin, as well as Nuristani wood carvings and Ghorid and Ghaznavid pottery. Number 3. Omar Landmine Museum. Another museum worth visiting in Kabul is the Omar Landmine Museum, which was established by the Organization of Mine Clearance and Afghan Rehabilitation, OMAR. As well as being a training center for landmine clearance, this museum houses an exhibit of over 60 mines that are still scattered across the country. Number 4. Wakhan River. The Wakhan River runs through the Wakhan Corridor, fed by the high-altitude mountains of the Hindu Kush on the border with Pakistan. It snakes its way through the mountains, and is a major lifeline for the people living in this harsh and unforgiving landscape. The bright blue color of this water is due to reddish hues of the rock formations around it, as well as the crystal clear source, a glacier. Water molecules absorb other colors, like red, more efficiently than blue. Number 5. Bamiyan Buddhas. Built in the 6th century, when Bamiyan was a holy Buddhist site. In 629 AD, Chinese traveler Xuanzang described Bamiyan as a bustling center with tens of thousands of monks. The two most prominent statues were 55 meters and 37 meters high. Bodies carved out of sandstone cliffs. Unfortunately, the ancient sandstone carvings, once the world's tallest Buddhas, were annihilated in an act of destruction that shocked the world, and helped set a precedent for the recent vandalism. Number 6. Stupa of Takht-i-Rostam. It's a flat rate of $5 US dollars, 350 Afghani, for entry and you can pay in either Afghani or US dollars. You are issued with a ticket. This stupa was built by Chinese monks. It's obvious that it is a Buddhist area. The stupa still remains, completely intact and incredible. It's been carved magnificently in the hills here and there are caves inside it. Guns were fired here during the Civil War. Lots of casualties. Number 7. Darul Aman Palace. Darul Aman, the dwelling place of peace, sits in ruins outside Kabul, Afghanistan, a crumbling symbol of what was once supposed to be the modern future of the country. Amanullah Khan, ruler of Afghanistan between 1919 and 1929, ordered the construction of the impressive structure, intending the palace to be the centerpiece of a new capital city in the country. The city was to be a gleaming, European-style settlement, rising up from the plains with the palace as the crown jewel. Needless to say, the city was never built and the palace never came into its own. The conservative rulers who deposed Amanullah Khan scorned his plans and his reforms, leaving Darul Aman to rot. Set on fire in the 1970s, shelled by Mujahideen in the 1990s, and targeted by the Taliban in 2012, the palace, once a symbol of optimism and change, was repeatedly brutalized. Still standing today, Darul Aman is now a crumbling ruin. A plan to restore it has so far come to nothing, but its walls still contain the last century of Afghan history, the grandeur of its ambitions, the depth of its bloodshed and violence, and ultimately a monument to the improbable resilience of hope. Number 8. Bandi Amir National Park. Major tourist attractions in Afghanistan away from Kabul include the 5 lakes of Bandi Amir, one of the most beautiful places in the country, with impressive geological formations. It is also known as the Lake of Jewels. There are 5 lakes, all worth seeing and in close proximity. If possible, try to be up on the road at the top of Bandi Haybat at sunrise. In October the ideal time is 6 a.m. for some great views and, if the water is calm, some stunning reflections of the surrounding mountains in the lake. A trail from behind Hotel de Rêves leads up the hill, and a 20-minute walk brings you to some stunning views of 2 more of the lakes. The small mosque-like tomb of Amir looks over Bandi Haybat, and fortunately there are 25 awesome swan pedal boats available for rent here, a good opportunity to intensify the beautiful reflections in the lake. Behind the tomb of Amir is a women's beach, with a hut built half into the water, allowing women to enjoy a bath in the lake covered from curious views. Taking a bath in the lake is said to cure from diseases, though a lot of rubbish in and around the lake lets one fear the opposite. Number 9. Salung Pass. The Salung Pass is in Parwan, Afghanistan on the road between Kabul and Mazar-e-Sharif. It features the 2.6 km Salung Tunnel, the main link between northern and southern Afghanistan and one of the world's highest road tunnels. It was built by engineers from the former USSR in 1964. About 1,000 vehicles pass the Salung Tunnel daily. A trip via the pass could take a very long day, or more, if there are delays because the pass has received recent snow, although a 5-10 hour trip is possible in better conditions. The pass is popular for picnics in better weather, where the cool clean air makes a refreshing break from the dust and pollution of Kabul. The pass was the scene of major battles with the Soviet troops, particularly when they withdrew. Many died in the tunnel itself. There is still the possibility of mines and other unexploded ordnance. Walking or driving off of the road itself is therefore not recommended. Number 10. Buzkashi Game. Football, basketball, volleyball, No, the national game of Afghanistan is Buzkashi. Never heard of it? Don't worry, many people neither. The game involves lots of men on horseback, and one dead goat. To score a point, you must grab the dead goat on your horse and carry it into the other team's territory. Drawing thousands of fans, the games are like nothing you've seen before with its fierce and electric atmosphere. It's like a glorified polo and capture the flag, very intense and easily one of the toughest games on earth. Check out new videos and subscribe below.